And we are rolling on February 16th, 2016. Wow, 1660. Where we're about to hear from Vahag, who's going to address the extemporaneous question, why China is building islands in the South China Sea. Why is China building islands in the South China Sea? Someone at the door there? No. Okay. Rock and roll, Vahag.
Hi everyone, my name is Vahag.
Hi, Vahag.
Napoleon Bonaparte once said, China is a sleeping giant. Let her sleep. For when she wakes, she will move the world. That was said in the 18th century. 200 plus years have gone by, and China has slowly but surely, like many of us on a Monday morning going to an 8 a.m. class, finally awoken. However, China has not begun to move the world, but instead, it started to alter it by building man-made islands in the South China Sea. So the question I want to answer in front of you guys today is, why is China building man-made islands in the South China Sea? My answer to this question is three simple answers. All of them have an overarching theme towards Chinese national interests. The three reasons why I believe they're making man-made islands in the South China Sea is because it is in their economic interests, they're taking security precautions, and third, they have imperialistic intentions in the region. You may be asking, well, why is this significant, or why should I care if it's about something happening on the other side of the world? Well, China is on the verge of becoming a global superpower which can challenge U.S. hegemony around the world. Furthermore, Chinese foreign policy is very important to understand because miscalculation and misinterpretation of their actions can lead to catastrophic war, which is something that we all want to avoid. So the first reason why I believe that, the first reason why China is building islands in the South China Sea is because of its economic interests. As many of you know, China is a growing economy, and its large-scale population demands natural resources in order for its growing economy to grow. Now, the South China Sea holds key resources such as oil and other minerals and gases, which has large potentials for net income and also for use in China. Furthermore, China needs to use these resources because it is heavily reliant on labor-based work. In order for it to function economically with its large-scale population and to grow with foreign corporations, it needs these resources in order to continue building and building. An article written by Derek Watkins in the New York Times on October 27, 2015, titled Why China is Building in the South China Sea, argues and provides background information on the region's mineral resources. Watkins argues that there's key fishing locations as well as oil reserves and gas reserves which China wants to lay claim to because it will benefit economically. Furthermore, China, by building islands in the South China Sea, wants to lay claim to the Malacca Straits. The Malacca Straits are key trading routes which connect the Pacific Ocean to the Indian Ocean. And also, these are channels which connect major economic countries such as Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, China, Singapore, Malaysia, and India. So by controlling this key strait, China will have immense say in what goes on in the Asian region, and also will have much more power than it does currently. Also, when it comes to China, it's been growing economically. It's been growing very consistently when it comes to economics. Therefore, by controlling the Malacca Straits, which is estimated to have about 1/4 of the world trade which goes on, they're able to ensure the safety of economic trade in the future. The second reason why China is building islands in the South China Sea is because it is taking security precautions. If you look on the world map, China is surrounded by many states which seem to hate it for some reason and seem to ally with the United States government. These states include South Korea, Vietnam, Japan, India, Singapore, Malaysia, and its most notorious enemy Taiwan. Now, in order for Japan to battle this, in order for China to battle this, they have increased their military spending. Jeremy Bender of Business Insider did a statistical index on the world global military power, and it found that China was ranked third. China spends about $216 billion, and it comes third and behind the United States and Russia. But it is estimated that China is going to pass Russia in the near future, because it spends 3 times more money on its military spending than Russia. However, you may be saying, if it's spending this much money and is growing exponentially, why does it need to fear its neighboring states? Well, its neighbors, South Korea, Japan, and India, all rank in the top 10 when it comes to military power. South Korea 7th, India 5th, and Japan 4th. Now, if you're China in this situation and you're surrounded by constant threats, you're going to take action in order to ensure peace. And that's what China is trying to do by establishing islands in order to lay claim to the Malacca Straits, because they will give them immense say in the international arena. James Stavridis from Foreign Policy wrote on October 1st, 2015, that by China establishing control of the trading routes which take place in the South China Sea, they will be able to establish the rules of trade and the rules of engagement the way they want to. They will have power, in other words. And the third reason why China is building islands in the South China Sea is because it has imperialistic intentions of taking back Taiwan in the near future. As many of you know, Taiwan was originally Chinese territory. However, following the 1949 Civil War which occurred between the ROC, which was the Chinese government, and the Communist Party, Taiwan was able to separate from China because the ROC, after they lost to the Communist Party, its leadership defected to Taiwan, establishing a democratic regime which since has been separate since 1941. Now, China, being this large global power that it is not able to take back Taiwan because Taiwan has ties to the United States and also other states such as Japan, India, and Vietnam. However, by establishing these islands, China is able to showcase its dominance. Now, the United States, who is considered to be an ally of Taiwan, is not going to take extra steps in order to protect Taiwan when it does not have any strategic or economic connections to the United States that other states in the region cannot provide it. On May 2nd, 2015, an article in The Economist titled South China Sea Making Waves described the historical background between Taiwan and China and also discussed the future intentions of China and how it could seek to take back Taiwan. In summary, I have shown you the 3 reasons why China is building islands in the South China Sea. The first one being economic intentions, the second being is taking security precautions, and the third, its imperialistic intentions of taking back Taiwan. In conclusion, there should be no doubt that these are the 3 reasons why these islands are being made. Let her sleep were the words that Napoleon stated out loud in the 18th century. However, China's alarm clock has gone off and is slowly rising. It built a great immense empire from rubble, and also it seems to have elevated the shoreline and made islands in the middle of the ocean, which did not seem possible years ago. Thank you.
658. Very nice. Let's start on the left side today. You brought me a coffee. How about so?
Oh, here you go. I finished.
Oh, good. Thank you. Everyone signed for their first 3 Extemp questions. Good.
Okay. Hi, I'm Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
I thought that you did a really good job in really explaining the history and a lot of the context behind it, because I know that we're in the U.S. and not a lot of people know too much about foreign policy. So the fact that you included the whole China and Taiwan distinction is a really big deal, especially now. So I think that you're very credible in the sense that you constantly cited people and that you're very knowledgeable on your topic.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brenda. Ruma.
Hi, I'm Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Well, I thought your speech was very, very well researched. A lot of factoids, so I wanted to put that in there. But critiques. Just at the end, at the very end, it seemed like you were kind of almost restarting the speech all up again, and now here's more facts, here's more evidence, and instead of kind of fully closing your tie back to the Napoleon speech. You were going there. You just needed one last kind of reminder. Can't talk today. Instead of going into the new facts that maybe you couldn't fit in earlier, you should have completed the tie back. Otherwise, I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Well, Vahag, you did a very thorough job. An overarching comment I would make to you is you don't have anything lacking in the content, in your analysis, in your putting together the pieces of the puzzle. I would say where I would like to see some liveliness would be in your delivery, in storytelling, and making it a little more interesting so certain people don't doze off or want to go on their phone, or, you know, because it's a tricky topic to keep the interest going on, as you know, and you tried to sell. Okay, Napoleon Bonaparte, China is a sleeping giant. This has been used a lot after the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. The famous quote out of Japan was, "I fear we've awakened a sleeping giant, and we'll rue the day we bomb Pearl Harbor." You've heard that one too, right? Just to not put too fine a point on what Jason was talking about, but I think I know what he was getting at, was I don't think you just said, well, let her sleep. I don't think China intends to sleep, and so I don't think that's a particularly ingratiating or logical ending to the facts that you presented us, which is an imperialistic, militaristic, economically dominant country. Yeah. So, on your thesis preview, excellent. You got there with 43 seconds to go, so that was well marshaled. On your sixth statement, you used terms like hegemony. Does everybody know what hegemony means?
Doesn't it just mean like all in the same, like your very typical stereotype?
Okay. Maybe. What's hegemony mean? See? And my other point is, what's so wrong with screwing up hegemony, or, you know, but be careful in using poli-sci terms of, you know, state of the terminology of that you think everyone's going to know what it means when it doesn't. But overall, I thought you made a valiant attempt to make us interested in the topic, and so I appreciate that. On your first reason, had to do with building Chinese seas, this economic outreach. And I thought the evidence was a little lean on the large oil, gas reserves and fisheries there. I'm not saying it's not there, but I thought the evidence you presented was a little lean. The Malacca Straits was a little bit more compelling, and controlling that shipping lane was probably better. Again, maybe some stories could have come into play here that would have been useful. Some maybe history of controlling this area or not controlling this area. On your second reason, it had to do with security measures and them becoming very militaristic, and you had presented what your colleague back here called factoids. I don't think that was a compliment, but I think that what you want to do when you are using statistics, as I hope you're learning from the sticky text, is use them in a very form of comparison to make a stronger point. And if you're in doubt that you're going to lose your audience with too many numbers, make some simpler comparisons. Okay? But nonetheless, you made the point. They're surrounded by, they live in a bad neighborhood. Okay, that's fair. On your third, your second one by your James Stradivarius or whatever his name was. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that building airstrips there is very troublesome and certainly concerning. On your third argument that they intend to take back Taiwan, I wasn't persuaded by your evidence. I know you gave the history, and I know you quoted my favorite magazine, The Economist, but I didn't get this as a quote as much as your analysis as flexing their power in the area, but I didn't get the exact link to taking back Taiwan. I don't think that's ever been overtly stated, and I could be wrong on that. But
well, the Chinese generals, I probably should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
They have their so-called. They've been publicly stating things, but and then they would take them back once they realized the newspaper report that we should take back Taiwan because it was creating much uproar with Western relations. So I probably should have mentioned that in there.
Yeah, and we have a security pact with them.
Yeah.
So that's another element that's problematic. Your summary, your conclusion were good. Your tieback, I didn't like. Your goal was to not use flashcards, to speak confidently, and to have good eye contact. How did it go?
I think my eye contact was way better than last time. And I know Michael made a point, so I was trying to work on that.
Good.
Speaking confidently, I sort of did stumble a little bit in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot one of the author's name. That's why I had to look on the flashcard.
That's okay.
And then next time I'm going to try to memorize the... I was having a little problem with the dates. I wanted to get the dates out because I think the more recent the dates, the better.
Yeah,
so,
that'll help you. But you hardly needed it, and if you don't have it at all, you'll be more effective. Let's talk about, and anybody in the group that wants to contribute to making his speech more sticky, please speak up. Did you have a simple message? I think so. I think it was pretty simple. That China is, pretty aggressive, materialistic, and maybe this is a little Americentric or whatever. But nonetheless, you had your 3 points, and they were well supported. On the unusual element of a speech, that you want to have something unexpected in there to grab your audience's attention in the middle to keep them from dozing off or to reinvigorate their attention. What was unexpected in any way in your thesis, in your wording, in your statistics, in your delivery, and anything? Unexpectedness can be anywhere you want to put it. You can flip around verbs and nouns if you think that will be effective.
I don't think I did a good job at that. I sort of thought the topic itself is kind of unexpected because not many people think of a state building island in the middle of the ocean in order to gain something. I think that's sort of a new topic. I mean, if you're not a poli-sci major. But in regards to the unexpected thing in the middle, I did not have that. I liked it.
Okay. As far as your credibility went, I thought the credibility of your sources that you cited fully with dates and your authors was excellent. Maybe just a little bit more a scholar, Free Enterprise Institute, wherever they're from, just a little icing on the cake could have been helpful, but it was very credible. I don't think it was too abstract, with the exception of the few terms that I told you were using. When you thought, we're trying to do and integrate stories into our presentation, was that a real challenge to you? Did you not have stories of, or what was the dealio on that? Or what was your thinking about putting stories in or adding stories or
I just found
making the whole thing a story,
I sort of tried to connect it to the point thing, but I found a difficulty, actually creating a story maybe that's some that as maybe the audience members, someone of our age can connect to, especially if they're not from, let's say, Taiwan or China.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's where I found difficulty. But I guess that's the connection problem as well.
Okay. Don't give up on it, because I hope you've noticed that people that have told stories have made a real strong emotional connection and have been much more effective, and their speech is much more sticky. Yeah. And secondly, I would say when you you could have used a real strong narrative to tell the story of, just saying, why are they building an island in the South China Sea? Because, we got some dangerous actors in China. Let me tell you about what these dangerous actors are up to, and use, real kind of language like that to, or something like that to spread a theme throughout and to make it more story-like and dramatic, see? Okay, thank you very much. Good job. Okay, that will bring us to, is there someone up here on the board? Okay, do we have someone that, who is this? This is Lala, and then do we have someone that can come up here and be next? Oh, I have to call on you? Okay, good. Lala, tell me when. Now? It's blank. Now. Vahag. Okay, I didn't work. Now. Susanna. Oh, Susanna. Oh, don't you cry for me. Is Susanna in the house?
Yeah.
That's you?
I'm not ready.
Well, be ready. Okay.
Am I good? In the camera.
No, you're not camera ready yet. Come forward, please, a little bit. Yeah. That's good, yeah. Okay, can you does your hair have to be, can your hair be behind your back? Yeah, so we see more face. Put your hair behind your ears so we see face. Yes. Face is good. Okay. Wait. Vaha, did you have your self-evaluation?
I did.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Lala stands before you, bandaging attention. Communicating respect non-verbally, saying to herself, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Undo your hands. They look like you're putting tension there in your fists. And you're about to speak on the question, the Extemp question, should India have banned the documentary film India's Daughter? Ooh. Very controversial. Okay, and we can rock and roll.
Hi everyone, my name is Lala.
Hi, Lala.
Jyoti Singh, the documentary film India's Daughter is about a girl named Jyoti Singh, who is 23 years old. Jyoti Singh is a medical intern in India, and she dreams about becoming a doctor one day. She also works the night shift for a customer service company in order to help make ends meet. For Jyoti, family and education are very important. On December 16, 2012, Jyoti went to go see the film Life of Pi with a male friend. At the end of the movie, approximately 8:30 p.m., they found a bus that was heading their direction home. Upon entering the bus, both her and her male friend were verbally and physically abused. Later, Jyoti was taken to the back of the bus where she was gang raped by 6 men, one by one, for 2 hours. She incurred incredible physical damage to her body to the point where the perpetrators thought she was actually dead. So they decided to toss her body out of the bus and leave her on the side of the road. Surprisingly, when she was found, she was still alive. But she died in the hospital about a week later due to fatal internal injuries. Today, I'm going to answer the question whether India should have banned the documentary film India's Daughter. My answer is an emphatic no. And there are several reasons why I believe this. The first reason is that this film provides a social purpose and helps educate people. The second reason is it brings to light the growing issue of women's violence and sexual abuse in India. And the third reason is that I believe the film should not have been banned is because it allows us to examine society and the values held internationally. The film India's Daughter was to air in India on March 8, 2015, which is International Women's Day. About 8 days before it was going to air, it was revealed that one of the perpetrators was interviewed while he was being held in the Tihar jail. Soon, media outlets caught up to this news and the Indian government found out about this. So they ordered a court order 4 days later to block the broadcast in India. Obviously, this film is very controversial and it does shed light to many social problems going on in the world today. In the film, Jyoti's father says that we know we cannot do anything for our daughter, but this shouldn't happen, and we should do something. He also states how he wants his daughter to become a symbol for a better life for women in India. The first reason why I believe the film India's Daughter should not have been banned is because of its social purpose and education. This film clearly shows the growing trend against violence against women, and it is a major public health concern. According to the World Health Organization, updated January 2016, 38% of women's murders globally are committed by an intimate partner. Obviously, these numbers are outrageous, and I believe that this film is an outlet to educate people about this problem that we don't really talk about or we don't really see as much anymore. Also, in the film, one of the perpetrators, Mukesh Singh, he recalls the night of December 12, 2016, clear-eyed and unaffected. He didn't seem repentant at all, and actually he seemed quite annoyed that this particular rape was gaining so much alarm. I believe that this film just has educational and a social purpose that causes it not to be banned and should not be banned, and it should be known to the world. And this leads me to my second reason why I believe the film should not have been banned is because it clearly indicates the growing problem of women's violence and sexual abuse in India. According to the film's narration, every 20 seconds in India, a woman is raped. This is also very outrageous numbers, and it just shows how there is a large problem about women's violence that we don't talk about much today. Also, I believe the purpose of the film was to gain the insight of a rapist. And in order to understand the underlying problem and issue related to rape, it helps us understand why this happens, and in order to better understand what to do and how to prevent this from taking place. The third reason why I believe this film should not have been banned in India is because it examines society and values held today. I believe that in the quote from one of the perpetrators, it's a direct quote I'm going to read, he says, this is Mukesh Singh again, "While being raped, women, shouldn't fight back. She should just be silent and allow the rape. He then adds that a girl is far more responsible for rape than a boy. A decent girl wouldn't roam around the streets at 9 o'clock at night. Housekeeping and housework is for girls. This direct comment from the perpetrator just shows the degrading and dehumanizing issue of women, not only in India, but all around the world. And I think that this film allows people to examine values in society that are taking place. In summary, I have provided you with 3 reasons why I believe the film India's Daughter should not have been banned. The first reason is that it provides a social purpose and helps educate people about the social issues. The second reason is that it brings to light the growing problem of women's violence. And the third is that it helps examine society and values held today. There should be no doubt in this room that the film India's Daughter should not have been banned for the several reasons I have stated. I also believe that Jyoti would want this film about her tragic death to be made public. I think that she respects her parents' decision to contribute to this film and allow it to be made about her story. And I think that she would have wanted this film to bring light the issue in India also. And I also think that Jyoti has become a very visible symbol in India about the vocal movement against women's rights in India. Lastly, I want to encourage everyone who hasn't already to watch this film. I believe that there are many factors and many values that, as a woman, I can, but also everybody else in this classroom could relate to, and I encourage everyone to watch it. Thank you.
7:43.
Hi everyone, my name's Tommy.
Hi, Tommy.
Overall,
Great name.
thank you. Overall, I thought your speech was really good. What I really liked was how you started it off with like the summary of the movie, and you like gave I can't speak for everyone, but for me, like you kind of made that emotional connection to her situation. So I really liked it.
Yeah. Generally speaking, I don't like, I give another course. We have a film speech that we use as to make an emotional connection. I don't like plot summaries, but in this case it was very appropriate. And it worked to set the tone and create an emotional connection. Because after all, we really didn't know what it was about, unless you're living under a rock, and many people are. But there's a lot of problems in that country with women being abused and raped and not treated fairly. Yes, sir. Improvement.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
Overall, I thought it was really good. I was able to empathize with the speech, and it struck a chord with me. But an improvement would be, I can't think of too many, but I would say maybe making more of an effort to memorize better, I guess, maybe. So I know, like, or maybe not, or might not be even a memorization, it could be like nerves, maybe, that's why you forget a line or two, so you have a note card, but either way, maybe I would practice in front of people.
Okay, you want to add something to that?
I kind of felt
Say your
like,
name.
hi, I'm Jason.
Hi, Jason.
I kind of felt like at the beginning that was less nerves and more of an emotional kind of connection to the material. And that was very apparent for me, especially earlier on when you kind of settled down from that. So I actually kind of appreciate that it was so emotional for me.
Okay, good. Thank you, Lola. Good. This is what I mean by choosing an extemp speech that will lend itself to some emotional connection, some interest from the audience, as opposed to, will the Fed raise the prime rate next month? That second one is a really big challenge to get people to care. So, what you did was you told us a what, when, where, why, and how of this poor girl's rape on a bus, set it up for her that she was a medical student and working a second job, was with her boyfriend, and these 6 animals proceeded to rape and abuse her and then threw her out like garbage onto the street. Very powerful opening and beginning. When you watch yourself tonight, however, on YouTube, what I detect, and you'll see what I mean when you get there, you went right from she died from her fatal injuries. Today I'm going to answer the question whether India should have banned the documentary film India's Daughter. What we needed is a segue in there which said, well, after this happened, a very courageous documentary filmmaker, as they always do, showed up and decided to tell this poor girl's story and got the cooperation of the parents and even some of the rapists on film, right? And yet, when the government got wind of this and what it might mean in a public relations stand, they freaked out. Which leads me to ask and answer the question, should India have banned the documentary India's Daughter? You see how that makes so much more sense than fatal injuries? Should she have banned? It's what I call an abrupt transition, which you want to avoid.
I kind of wanted to do that because I didn't want the intro to be way too long. So before I mentioned why I don't think it should be banned, I want to say why. Then after I ask the question, I present how it was banned and why.
Then you went into it. Okay. I would like a little segue there. And your thesis preview was well done. You gave 3 reasons, so we knew where you were going. That was fine. Your SIG statement. Again, I've said this to you before. I'd like to see you use the word significant statement and say we all have mothers, brothers, sons, daughters that travel, that could be subjected to rape at any time. And it says this is a worldwide problem. And make it more to them and to these people here. Because if you review what you reread what you said for your significant statement, or when you watch it tonight on YouTube, you see you quoted the father extensively, but that doesn't necessarily make it significant to this audience. Catch my difference? Okay. On your main body, you said no ban. It contributes to a social importance, social purpose, and social awareness, which I thought was a good way to argue it. Women's Health Organization, 38% of murders are committed by intimate partners. Again, it would have been more helpful to have statistics from India and not just globally. And I was sort of thinking, well, what's the statistic in the U.S.? What's the statistic in India? And it goes back to what your tech talks about in terms of using statistics as comparison and to really make them more powerful. See? I was very struck by your rendition of the interview with the perpetrators. Yeah, these guys don't get it. It's real clear they don't. What's the problem? The bitch. This is a hole. So when I get the rape, this was his attitude. What's everyone talking about? And it's like you sit there and watch this guy and you go, boing, doing, 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 doing. Lights on, nobody home. This guy's hitting on about 4 cylinders. What family was he raised in?
Actually, one of the rapists committed suicide while he was in jail.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
One of them was 17 years old, so he got tried not as an adult, because I guess they don't do that in India. He has 3 years in jail, and he's already released. And The other people are in jail serving. They're supposed to get death by hanging, but their attorneys are trying to like extend it as much as they can.
Yeah. It probably will never happen, but it's a sad story. On your second reason, you said it shows the problems with women in India, and then you gave the statistics for rape in India, which was more on point, which was good, and I like that. And then this stuff was gynecological problems and HIV, and that was all stuff, and the importance of having that conversation. Your third reason, again, was using the man's own words that he thought were, exculpating himself, but really were damning himself when he says, when being raped, a woman shouldn't fight back. She should just be silent and allow the rape. What's she doing out anyway? And it's very similar, by the way, to what happened in Germany with these Syrian refugees when one of the mayors of a German town said, well, maybe these German girls had better cover up a little bit more. And it's, come on, guys. What century is this,
The perpetrators said that if she didn't fight back, that they would have just raped her and let her go, because in India, when they rape a woman, they don't want to kill them because they want them to be ashamed of whatever they have done. Mm-hmm. So they said if she didn't fight back, they wouldn't have killed her with iron rods, and she would have just went home that night.
Okay, you went a little over time. Your summary was a little long. Your conclusion was good, and your tie back to the mother and back to your personal story was good. You said you wanted to speak confidently, make an emotional connection with your audience, and hold my audience's attention. How'd it go?
I think I did all of that.
Yeah, you did all of that. How could it be more sticky?
Probably use more facts from India.
Yeah.
And a better significant statement.
Better significant statement, and just a little bit more on your citing your sources and giving them credibility, and it's recent evidence that you're citing a BBC documentary said this in 2015, like that. Okay, you did a nice job, Lala. Thank you. Okay, I guess you're next.
I'm sorry I didn't come prepared. I was hoping to do it next week, since I just did next
Well,
week.
everyone, watch the next person I call, and that's what they're going to say. I'm not prepared. I got to do it next week. Yeah, that's what they all say. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, I'll run my hand down the old paper and, okay. Tommy Flores. See, Tommy's manning up.
Thank you.
Do we have someone else that can save us a little time by being next? Gonna be next?
I'll go.
Okay, great. Can you put your topic on the board at the same time? Thank you. How many people had heard of this documentary before today?
I didn't hear about it.
One person. Just one person. That's fine. Yeah, it's kind of on a debate question.
Yeah, there's online copies.
Clearly not bedtime watching.
I had my mom watch it with me.
What'd she say? You're studying this shit? You
No, she's like, why are you watching depressing stuff?
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story while we're waiting for this guy to keep writing. In my 102 class, I used to sign the movie Blue Velvet by David Lynch. I don't know if you know the film. It's about an interesting film about dual reality and stuff. We're talking about this in terms of logic. But there's Dennis Hopper is in it, and he plays a crazy man. And this poor girl took her 65-year-old father to see the movie Blue Velvet, and there's some real racist scenes in it. And I guess I should quote it. He leaned over and he goes, "You sure the professor didn't tell you to see the horse movie National Velvet?" And he was shocked that she was assigned this as a class project. So, welcome to college. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Do I have your bona fide? I don't have your outline.
Sorry.
Yeah. And your self-evaluation?
I didn't bring it.
Well, that's a tragedy. No self-evaluation. Okay, minus 10 points.
Can I bring it next week?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Have you watched yourself?
Yeah, I watched myself, but I didn't.
So what did you think?
I thought it was kind of bad.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's how you grow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're this guy, right?
Yeah.
So Tommy stands before us, managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech. And he's going to speak on, will housing prices continue to rise in 2016?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tommy Flores.
Hi, Tommy.
So I want to start off with a story. 26 years ago, two immigrants from El Salvador came to this country fleeing a chaotic civil war and harsh poverty. 8 years later, they were able to, with hard work and determination, they were able to welcome their newborn son into a lovely new home that they bought with hard work and after years of hard work. Those two immigrants were my parents. So, obviously, my topic has to do with housing. Specifically, I will be answering the question, will housing prices continue to rise in 2016? My position on that is that they certainly will continue to rise in 2016, and I will give three reasons for why I believe that is the case. So the first reason is low interest rates that are occurring right now. The labor market is improving in some markets, not every market, and government programs that won't be in effect until much later after 2016. So why is this significant? Well, I know every one of you perhaps wants to own a home one day. I'm sure that at some point in your life you've dreamt of buying a house with a basketball court outside or a nice pool. You know, we're all here for a reason. We're not just here to make friends and just learn about nothing. We're here to pursue an education because we want to get a good job, obviously. All right, so my first reason why I think housing prices will continue to rise in 2016 is that interest rates are at an all-time low. So my first source comes from The Economist. An article that was written on November 3rd, 2015 stated that interest rates were at an all-time low. So pretty much what this means is that the interest that you would have to pay when you start paying a house, they would be low. So in other words, what you're paying to the bank at the end of the day isn't as much as you would have maybe a couple years ago. So that it's increasing the price on the house itself, but in terms of what you're paying to another person, it's actually some people consider it a smart idea to buy houses when interest rates are low. So yeah, obviously it makes the supply and demand makes it continues to grow because of that, and yeah. My second reason that I believe that housing prices will continue to grow in 2016 comes from, my source comes from the Los Angeles Times. A journalist by the name of Samantha Masunga states that and this was written in January 26, 2016, so not even a month ago, states that in Los Angeles, housing prices have gone up 5.3%. That's already this year, so clearly housing prices are continuing to rise. And in San Francisco, they increased 11%. And this is because of the fact that the labor market is improving. So jobs in tech, like a lot of the technological advances are occurring around, Silicon Valley areas like San Francisco, stuff like that. So that's increasing in jobs. A lot of people are finding new ways to make money. I know people even make money by playing video games now. So it's, a lot of people are finding jobs that way. And my third and final reason is from another journalist from the LA Times named Matt Welsh. And he states that housing projects and initiatives won't be taking place and be in effect until much later than 2016, maybe not even 2017. So what this means is that because of different procedures like getting approved for the areas where they want to build and other things of that nature, it takes years to get processed. So these won't take effect in 2016, and that is why housing prices will continue to rise. So in summary, I've stated 3 reasons why I believe that housing prices will continue to rise. The first is interest rates are all-time low. Second is the improving labor market. And third is that government initiatives won't be approved in 2016. They won't be approved until much later. So in conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that housing prices will continue to rise in 2016. And I hope that one day you guys and I, like my parents, can hopefully afford the home of our dreams. Thank you.
Thank you. 5:55.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael.
Hi, Michael.
So I like your usage of statistics. I think you should have used more, but for what you used the LA Times and The Economist. Yeah, I think they fit in with the point you were trying to make, or I guess the 3 points that you tried to make. I think they fit in well. I just wanted to see more statistics.
Yeah. I think that, let me just comment on that before we get to improvement there. It would have really enhanced your credibility to have a second and additional study or piece rather than just the LA Times or The Economist. It was a little research light. And there was a lot more filler and you knows and ands and anecdotal stuffs in there instead of, hardcore information. Improvement, sir.
Hey guys, my name is Vahog.
Hi, Vahog.
I thought the speech was good. Like Michael said, I really like the statistics. The only part I say to improve is probably the eye contact. I know, like when you're reading statistics or you're trying to say some of these reporters' last names, it's very difficult to memorize because they have some weird names and weird data. But just make better eye contact. Everything else is good.
Thank you, Bob. Well, let me zip through this. Housing prices continue to rise in 2016. You basically said because they have in the past, they probably will in the future. And so that was your line of reasoning, Tommy. I liked your story of your parents coming and working hard and being immigrants and making something of themselves. I would have liked more of a tie back to that in the ending and more of a, if my parents can do it, your parents can, you can do it too, you know, and it's la 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 la. You have many more breaks than they had, you know, they had the shirt on their back and, you know, just, you know, but some fire in their belly, which I don't see a lot at UCLA, unfortunately, anymore. It's kind of sad. On your thesis, you clearly took the position yes, and you gave 3 reasons, and your third reason was a little bit vague or weird, and it had to do with government programs not kicking in for a long time and the plans taking a while to cut in, and this is why they won't affect the housing market being diminished, right?
Yeah.
That was how you were arguing, but that wasn't that clear. I thought your SIG statement was good. I thought you related to everybody on why they wanted to own a home. I think that's pretty universal. You came a little too close to the camera, so you're going to see. You don't go in front of that orange thing. You're going to see. You look kind of boxy when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube. On your first reason, there's no question with the interest rate so low, lots of people can afford it. It's a great time to buy a house, and you quoted The Economist, my favorite magazine, and that was good. Your second reason from the LA Times, all it did was stated 2 markets, and it would have been much more impressive evidence to have some national statistics, because it didn't say are they going to rise in California, and maybe you wanted to limit it to that, but I just assumed it was meant the United States, so, you know, silly me. On the third reason that you gave for them to continue to rise, you quoted Matt Welch of Welch's Grape Juice, and you talked about the idea that they're not the emergency initiatives aren't cutting in quickly enough to have any negligible impact on, you know, housing prices. That was a little vague. Your summary was good. Your conclusion was good. Your tieback was too light. You you went about 6 minutes, so you had about 1:15, which you could have added much more. You said you wanted to make eye contact with your audience. Yes, it's good. Eye contact with your audience. You wanted to remain composed during your speech, and you didn't want to say, how did it go?
I think I didn't do any of those. Well, except the composed part. I feel like I was pretty composed. I got nervous a couple of times, but for the most part, I felt like I was fine.
Okay.
Eye contact, like Vahag said, I was kind of bad. I was looking over here, over there.
Yeah.
And the I'm actually not even sure if I said a lot.
Quite a bit. And also, when you walk, don't turn your body so away from the audience. Keep it cheated forward, which would be much more effective. As far as stickiness goes, did you plan anything unexpected in this speech that would kind of wake us up? You know, grab us, draw us in, and make it more sticky.
I felt like the story of my parents was unexpected. I don't feel
that was good, yes.
Yeah. I would say that was unexpected. Other than that, I'd say not too unexpected. It was like it's not a topic that I feel like you can bring too much unexpectedness. But that story I felt like was kind of unexpected.
I thought your thesis was simple, maybe too simple.
Okay.
Your credibility could have been enhanced with more arguments from more authorities. You were not excessively abstract. You were mostly concrete, which is always a good thing. And I would have liked more stories if you had them, a friend buying a house or a couple starting out or something, just more stories, because we know stories. We know it from Steve Jobs, from the very first speech we saw, that they really engage an audience. So let's see if you can't put more stories in next time. Thank you. Okay, next.
right.
Good.
Got another one that's going to do the more.
Boy, what do? Keep it in your back pocket? Okay,
Stuff
good.
in my backpack.
Hey, don't come in front of that.
Front here?
Front of that brown tile. Thank you. Jason stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect. That guy's staring around.
Reading the question.
Okay. Hoping he gets everyone to look at him. And he's going to address the question today, which I can't read. Should the U.S. adopt a flat federal income tax? A flat federal income tax. Boy, oh boy. Here we go. Talk to us about flat federal income tax, Jason.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Back in the time of Columbus, legend had it that the world was flat. And if you sailed long enough in a single direction, your crew, and your ship would fall off the edge into the abyss. Now, experience today shows us that the world has always been round, but economics shows us that there is another edge from which we can sail off into oblivion. That edge is the flat federal income tax. It's a proposal to change our current progressive tax bracket system where the wealthiest among us pay more of their income percentage-wise than poorer earners to fund the federal government, and then changes that into a flat percentage across all income brackets. Now, Republican candidates for presidents recently, such as Dr. Ben Carson and Ted Cruz, have proposed their own versions of these federal flat tax systems. And while they contend that it's a fairer, simpler, and more effective way to fund the government, I respectfully disagree with their positions. And today, I'll be explaining why I believe that the United States should not switch to a flat federal income tax. I believe this for three reasons. That one, it will directly cost the folks in our society that can least afford a tax increase. It will cause their taxes to rise while benefiting folks that already earn a comfortable living. Secondly, it will harm our federal government's ability to encourage socially productive activities via tax incentives. And lastly, it will harm the federal government's ability to fund itself adequately. This policy issue is a matter of great significance to all Americans because it concerns our government's ability to tax fairly while providing essential important services to our citizens. Now, the first reason that I believe we shouldn't adopt a federal flat tax is because of how it will harm the incomes of the poorest Americans while creating a windfall for the wealthiest Americans. According to a 2014 report done by the Congressional Budget Office, the lower one-fifth of earners pay about 2% in effective tax rates, while the highest 5% and 1% pay 21% and 29% in effective taxes, respectively. The same report also states that if we were to then switch to a flat tax rate somewhere in the middle, about 15%, then the bottom one-fifth of earners will see their taxes increase sevenfold, while the top 1% will see a reduction in their taxes by almost half. Now, what this is going to do is make it so that the folks that are closest to or below the poverty line, they're going to lose several thousands of dollars that they could be or would be otherwise putting towards rent, food, child care, and health care, while creating again a windfall of saved taxes for the highest 1% of earners in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars that will pad their already large amounts of disposable income. The second reason that I believe we should not touch a flat federal income tax is because many of those flat tax plans, like the one proposed by current presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson, removes the tax incentives that the IRS currently provides for socially beneficial activity. So, for instance, it would eliminate the child tax credit that allows families that have children or are expecting children to save on their taxes to provide, instead use that money towards buying food or paying rent or paying for childcare, diapers, staples that they need as a family. It will also, and I know this is probably important to all of us, get rid of the educational tax credit, which allows all of us to save on our taxes as we pursue our educations or maybe pursue a trade in a trade school, and our earnings potential is lower than it would be if we weren't in school because we spend so much time studying, homework classes. Lastly, and in the case of Ben Carson's direct flat tax plan, he even calls for the elimination of the tax credit for contributing to charities and nonprofit organizations, which threatens to dramatically reduce the funding of programs and organizations all across the country that do great social work for people in our country. The third and final reason that I believe that we should switch to a national flat tax is that it will dramatically reduce our federal government's ability to fund itself at adequate levels. According to a opinion editorial of the New York Times on October 15th, 2015, the slate of flat tax proposals proposed by the current crop of Republican presidential candidates are all projected to produce shortfalls in funding for the U.S. government in the trillions of dollars. If that were to happen, then mass federal layoffs would be likely. The reduction in funding for essential programs like paying for investments in education or paying for the repair of infrastructure or even maintaining the current status of our social security apparatus, including Medicare and Social Security and now the Affordable Care Act. If those things were to transpire, it would dramatically harm our economy and it would harm our future prospects as a nation. In conclusion, I hope that I've expressed to you the reasons why we shouldn't adopt federal income tax. I feel that the effect on income inequality, the effect on the ability for the government to encourage socially beneficial activities, and the ability for government to fund itself adequately all provide compelling reasons why we should adopt that tax, the flat federal income tax. Columbus may not have actually been at threat of sailing off the edge of the world, but we are still, there is a long fall off of the edge of the federal flat income tax. Let's turn our tax ship towards safer waters instead.
8 minutes and 17 seconds.
Man, that was my last name. Talk faster.
We're over here, Mr. Green.
I thought,
Name?
my name is Mohammed.
Hi, Mohammed. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
I thought you started really well, but yeah, you started pretty fast, but then we got into your groove and slowed down a little bit. So next time I think you should be aware of that.
Okay. Improvement?
I'm Justin.
Hi, Justin.
I think one thing that you should do to improve on is put your arms.
Oh, man.
Instead of like every other sentence.
Yeah.
I should count them.
Count them tonight. They're on YouTube.
Yeah. And then just give yourself like
your audience finds that they're reading along with it. Let me quickly do this since we're in overtime now. You went too long. Your intro was real long. It was 2 minutes before you got down to your main body, and so you gotta quit setting it up so well and explaining so much.
Really tried to cut that
in the back end of it, and get to the point. Second big point I thought in some ways this was a straw man in that Ben Carson is, nowhere, but maybe the other Republican candidate is. At least a few were talking about it, and this was clearly the one you'd been assigned, so you were trying to get significance that way, I know. But in some ways it was a straw man. The New York Times editorial was the most telling of leaving us trillions of dollars with the shortfall. They just don't do the math, just as Trump doesn't do the math. No one does the math. Just as feeling the burn doesn't do the math either. So, we got some real flamboyant speakers that are promising the world to their citizens, and no one's doing the math. You said I wanted to tell stories in form and don't talk too slow. How'd it go?
I felt like I didn't tell individual stories per se. I don't know if the topic really lent itself to that.
Yeah.
But I felt like I connected it to like human issues. Like, the poor can't really afford a tax increase. The rich can. The tax incentives for families, for us students, for donating to charities. Who's against a tax deduction for that if it's going to harm giving? And then the fact that it just doesn't work, it doesn't fund the government. So I felt that, and that affects all of us. And I felt like at the close of each one of those paragraphs, I was able to address that.
Yeah, I thought that worked well. And you did a nice job. It would be more sticky if there was something more unexpected. If you had a little bit more credibility with your sources and citations. If you made your statistics more comparative and not so mind-numbing and with this percentage, that percentage, over, up, down. Simplify it out and tell us, a comparison of what it really is going to mean. Okay? Nice job. Thank you. Okay, well, our work is done for the day. Return with honor. If you are available to judge on Saturday, come and see me. And I hope to see all of you Thursday at noon at the law school.
Do you have an extra
flyer?
midterm?
Oh, a flyer. I thought you were going to ask for flyers. Oh, he's asking for flyers. Want some flyers?
No, I was going to ask if I could see the midterm.
Yeah,
but I'll put them up.
Yeah, put them up. Yeah. Thank you. What about the midterm?
I just
Hello, I
see
have
the
a Christmas
midterm
present
worksheet.
early.
The midterm worksheet?
Oh, you want to see the sample?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, good.
I can put this wherever.
Yeah, in classrooms, in your dorm rooms, in your, where people will see it.
The entire
Elevators.
philosophy department will see it.
What?
The entire philosophy department will see it.
Good, yeah. Well, let's hope they come.
You didn't send me an email about my policy brief topic, if you approved it or not.
Yeah, well, I was in San Diego all weekend, so I was having a...
Should I email you again?
Email me again, yeah.
And you didn't send me the revisions for this.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, I'm waiting for this.
She's waiting. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm just gonna do one game. You can do it? I could, but it took me way too long. It was way too slow.
Not in here. I guess whoever I showed it to put it down in my office. But let me explain. Who wants to see it? Who wants to see it? Oh, there's another class coming in. So we have to vacate the premises. Who wants to see it?
I was just going to ask briefly about it.
Okay, well, I'll verbally describe it as we vacate.